Hey there, sweet cheeks. Anyway, welcome back to Tiger Drop Films, and if this is your first time stopping by my channel, then welcome. And today I have a fun video to discuss. What if I told you the Millennium Tower has a real-life connection to Godzilla himself? Now we'll get to that fun fact in a little bit, but I wanted to make this video because I've been a Yakuza fan for the past 4 years. But I've also been a Godzilla and Ultraman fan for even longer. And it's a well-known fact that the Yakuza series is a great example of virtual tourism. By that I mean that all the open-world cities that you explore are a bit of fictionalized versions of real places in Japan, such as Kamurocho being Kabuchiko in real life and Sotenbori being Dotonbori. That's just to name a few. But I won't lie to you that since I'm also a kaiju fan of tokusatsu, whenever I explore these cities in Yakuza, I'm always reminded of scenes from my favorite kaiju films. So that's a cool part about the Yakuza series that I really appreciate. It allows me to walk throughout these cities that Godzilla and Ultraman have stomped on for the past 70 years. And we're going to be talking about pretty much every Yakuza city in the series, including the upcoming Honolulu and Infinite Wealth. So let's get into it. Let's start off with Tokyo and Kamurocho. So in Yakuza 3 we get the fight at the National Diet Building, an iconic landmark in Tokyo, and it's home to the Japanese government. You guys will know it as the chapter where Majima shows up in a pink truck to save Kiryu and Date. It's a great fight and definitely a highlight of the game, and honestly a fight that isn't really talked about too much in the fanbase. Since this is the iconic building for the Japanese parliament, there's no doubt that's been destroyed by Godzilla and many other giant monster characters over the past 70 years. Notably, it was first destroyed by Godzilla in his first appearance in the 1954 classic, and it also reappeared in the 1962 classic King Kong vs. Godzilla, where King Kong jumps to the top of the Diet Building and kidnaps a woman. You know, classic Kong stuff. Other such examples of the Diet Building appearing in tokusatsu films would be in the 1992 Heisei film Godzilla vs. Mothra, the Millennium film Tokyo SOS in 2003, where it gets destroyed in a beautiful fashion. And the Diet Building is going to be appearing in the upcoming Ultraman Blazar film. So it's going to be pretty cool to see it get destroyed in all its tokusatsu glory once again. And next, when it comes to Kamurocho itself in Tokyo, I'm sure a lot of people are aware that the Millennium Tower in real life is called the Hotel Glacieri, and is connected to a Toho Cinemas that includes a giant Heisei Godzilla head that lights up at night and shoots a little bit of lights for atomic breath. That's pretty goddamn awesome, man. And around the time of Yakuza 6 is when they updated it to include the Toho Cinemas, because that's about when it was built, I believe. And it's just a really cool visual to take in when you're going down the streets, as seen in my footage here. Now, I wish they would add the Godzilla head at some point, but that's not gonna happen, but it'd be pretty damn cool to see, and maybe some mods can do that. There's a PS4 Godzilla game that came out 1,000 years ago, and one of the levels you can destroy the Hotel Glacieri as Godzilla, including the Godzilla head on the building. So it's pretty cool to go from that game and Yakuza to kind of see this, Millennium Tower from two different perspectives. It's pretty funny. Now, surprisingly, Tokyo Tower has not appeared in the Yakuza series so far. And with that in mind, there's surprisingly not much more to talk about in regards to Kamurocho and its connection to Godzilla. So we're going to move on to Osaka and Sotenbori. Yakuza 2, scene nobody can forget. You know the one I'm talking about, the part where Osaka Castle appears, and then it splits in half and reveals a smaller, golden Osaka Castle within. Now the long battle that follows is phenomenal. It's the one that ends with two tigers getting punched, and it's pretty much what I use for most of my Tiger Drop intros on this channel. But, of course, Osaka Castle has been destroyed quite a bit of times in tokusatsu, notably in a 1955 film, Godzilla Raids Again, where the Big G slams Anguirus through the Osaka Castle. It's a pretty dope scene. And Osaka Castle would also be destroyed in the original Ultraman show during the fight between Gamera and Ultraman, and it's also a pretty brutal fight. You should check it out. Osaka Castle also appears in the second Gamera film where it's frozen by the kaiju Barugon. Then flash forward a couple decades, the castle does appear in Godzilla vs. Biollante, but it doesn't get destroyed. But the real life version of Dotonbori does appear in Godzilla vs. Biollante, where there's some great night shots of Godzilla wandering through Osaka. So whenever you're wandering Sotenbori at night in any of the Yakuza games, just imagine Godzilla marching through in the distance through all the canals and bridges. Next we have Okinawa, or the Ryukyu district seen in Yakuza 3. It's a pretty relaxing city, and right off the bat I have to make the neat connection between Nakahara and the Godzilla kaiju King Caesar, or as I used to know him as King Caesar. So the kaiju and Nakahara's Irizumi are both based off the Okinawa creature of folklore, the Shisha, a creature meant for standing guard and defending against evil spirits. In the case of Yakuza, Nakahara defended his family from those bulls and Tamashiro, and on King Caesar's side, he fought against Mechagodzilla. Both are pretty badass characters. I'm sure old man Nakahara could pick up Mechagodzilla if he wanted. Now, you don't really get to see a bunch of downtown Okinawa in the original Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, but you do get to see it in the 1997 film Rebirth of Mothra 2, where the antagonist of kaiju, the Hagura, marches through downtown Okinawa, and it's a pretty neat scene. And to be honest, a nice change of pace from the usual kaiju destruction settings. Next, I'd like to talk about Sapporo and Hokkaido. And in Yakuza 5, we get to explore the red light district, Tsukimino. And it's practically a joy for the eyes, as it's a winter wonderland full of brilliant Christmas lights and a bunch of snow sculptures. And whenever I wander around those outdoor malls with the large walkway canopies, I'm reminded of that scene in Gamera 2 Attack of Legion from the 90s trilogy, where Gamera lands in Sapporo and his feet come crashing through the outdoor malls and displaces a bunch of snow and debris. It's a really nice shot that puts the giant turtle in scale. And then we have the real standout of the Tsukimino map, the Sapporo TV tower located in the upper right hand corner of the map. The TV tower also appears in Gamera 2 Attack of Legion, but it also appears in the 1991 film Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. And if you're a longtime G fan, then you probably remember it as this part where Godzilla is marching through Sapporo, and he just knocks over that TV tower like it's nothing. It's a pretty great scene. So whenever I'm at this part in Yakuza 5, I just imagine Godzilla coming through and knocking over that tower. Now, if we got a full-on video game from a human perspective, that would be pretty cool, kind of like that City Shrouded in Shadow game from 1,000 years ago. But, you know, if we got that, like, somehow in a Yakuza game of all places, I'd be pretty stoked. You know, we got Dead Souls, so maybe we'll get a new Elseworld spin-off where Ichiban's schizophrenia makes Godzilla become real and he attacks all of Japan. It's up to Ichiban and his friends to take him on. That I'd buy that for $1. And speaking of giant TV towers getting demolished, let's head over to Nagoya. and it's Kenicho District seen in Yakuza 5. Whereas that giant TV tower on the right side of the map, it's the Nagoya TV tower, and it's also pretty to look at nighttime. But the Nagoya TV tower was notably destroyed in the 1964 classic Mothra vs. Godzilla and the 1992 film Godzilla vs. Mothra. And if you're new to Godzilla, I know the titles can be confusing, just bear with me. But a fun fact I found out about the Nagoya TV tower is that it's the oldest TV tower in Japan. Ain't that a neat thing? In Mothra vs. Godzilla, it always stuck out to me how Godzilla isn't trying to deliberately destroy the city in this one. He just woke up and he's trying to get through his day, even if that means marching through a city. In this case, Nagoya. In the film, Godzilla's going through the city and his tail gets caught on the TV tower, and he struggles for a few seconds, then sends the tower knocking down, but it actually falls onto him, so it's a pretty funny scene, and I always enjoyed it. And then in a 1992 film, Godzilla vs. Mothra, Batra appears and he also knocks over the Nagoya TV tower. I'm really impressed by the practical sets and the overall scale and scope of these tokusatsu cities. So it was pretty cool to see Batra destroy the TV tower. Now, if only the Nagoya castle was included in Yakuza 5. If it was, then I could have spoke more about Nagoya. But as of now, that's pretty much it for this city. But don't get me wrong, it's one of my favorite to explore in the Yakuza franchise. The way it's laid out, it's very concise, and the more square shape really lends itself for easy exploration. But anyway, let's move on to the next entry on the list. Let's head over to Fukuoka and its little district, Nagasugai, that's also seen in Yakuza 5. For a map that does a great job capturing the real world while also being the perfect way to serve the gameplay, by that I mean the taxi missions, Nagasugai is a city that I really love, and it's honestly one that I really want to visit someday whenever I get the chance to. But to go back to the kaiju action, Fukuoka notably appears in the 1956 Rodan film. That's one that always stuck in my mind for how utterly chaotic the destruction is. Because compared to Godzilla's usual slow-walking destruction, Rodan's flying everywhere, and his gusts of wind and sonic claps are destroying Fukuoka. Fukuoka would then appear in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah and Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. Now, when you're playing Yakuza 5 and you're in Nagasuga, it's kind of hard to see the exact parts that those films show, but if you look at the footage I captured right here from Yakuza 5, I try to showcase the skyline of Nagasuga and try to match it with what we see in those two films I mentioned. But there's no doubt that RGG still did a fantastic job capturing the real place. If you go online, you can find a lot of comparisons, and they're really neat to check out. Shows how much care was put into capturing the real feeling. Maybe in the future, RGG can take us back to Fukuoka, and we can go to the Fukuoka Tower, and that tower is destroyed in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, so who knows, maybe in the future this video can be updated. But next, let's go to Yokohama, specifically the Injincho district seen in Yakuza 7 and Lost Judgment. Now, there are two certain points on the map where you can look to see what's outside of the map, and it really stuck out to me, and I'll show you why. As either Ichiban or Yagami, if you go towards the top left area of the map, and you look out, you can see the Yokohama Landmark Tower and the Cosmo Ferris Wheel, along with the Nippon Maru and the Intercontinental Grand Hotel. All these famous landmarks have appeared in films such as Godzilla vs. Mothra, 2001's GMK, and 2008's Superior 8 Ultra Brothers. Being able to gaze at these landmarks from the perspective of Ichiban or Yagami is really breathtaking. And I believe there's a few buildings and streets in Injincho that appear in the Superior 8 Ultra Brothers and GMK. Some of the scenes that cut the people evacuating on the ground, if you know what I mean. And for the other major highlight of Injincho, or Yokohama, I want to show off the Yokohama Bay Bridge. A bridge that explicitly appears in GMK, where it gets destroyed by Godzilla's atomic breath. It's a pretty gripping scene and it really shows the scale of the bridge itself. And now this bridge also appears in Superior 8 Ultra Brothers, where all the Ultramen are teaming up and flying around the bridge as they fight against Alien Hipporito and the other alien threats. But whenever you're in these games, you look out into Yokohama Bay itself, all the vast ocean. I always imagine Godzilla fighting King Ghidorah at the bottom of the sea in GMK. And now, as I wrap up this video about sightseeing and giant monsters and Yakuza, I want to add that Unomichi or Hiroshima, to my knowledge, doesn't appear in any tokusatsu films, and you can probably assume why. But I just wanted to bring it up because it's the only city in the franchise that I didn't bring up in this video. But alas, let's move on to the final entry on this list and the newest one, as we're still getting information about it. But I played the Infinite Wealth demo and it was a blast to explore that little part of Honolulu that we got to. And Honolulu and Hawaii itself appear in the 2014 American Godzilla film, where Godzilla rises and causes a tsunami to wash over the beach, and then the fight heads into the airport. There's lots of great shots in that entire scene. But when I was exploring Infinite Wealth and the beach, because you can actually swim in the ocean in this game, which is really damn cool, I was imagining the 2014 or the MonsterVerse Godzilla rising out of the ocean and causing a tsunami. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna wrap up this video, guys. It was kind of an interesting one for me, because I got to bring together different topics I've discussed on this channel, from obviously Like a Dragon franchise to Godzilla and Ultraman, and I just wanted to start the new year off right as we head into Infinite Wealth. So, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get my subscriber count up to at least 500. And please hit the like button and share if you feel inclined to. If you don't, I'm not gonna cry about it, but if you did, I'm gonna smile about it. Enough cheesiness for me. Thank you guys for stopping by, and please stay tuned for more, because I have plenty that I want to discuss and talk about with you guys. So let me know in the comments below what your favorite kaiju film is, and your favorite city in the Yakuza series. So, Tiger Drop Film signing out, and I'll see you in the next one.